Hey, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Just Talk, the podcast where we get real about life, purpose, and the people who inspire us along the way. I'm your host, Kristen McIntosh, and today's episode is going to be something special. My guest today is a powerhouse in the world of acting and storytelling. He's not just an actor. You've seen him in The Family Plan and playing Curtis in the award-winning series Atlanta. But he's also a writer, a director, a model, and an artistic activist who uses his platform to bring attention to issues that matter. Please help me welcome Damian Lockhart.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, Damian. I'm so excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Wow, that was a quite an introduction, child. I forgot I did all that stuff.
But isn't that the thing about just being so into your craft? You're not even certain all that you worked on that people are looking at.
Yeah, it's humbling to remind yourself how much time and effort and hard work you put in, and to hear the accolades repeated back to me is very refreshing and inspiring to make me keep going, because sometimes you're just in it trying to make $1 out of 15 cents.
Hey, okay. So, Damian, I love that. I love your work, obviously, and I definitely love your look. That's the first thing I complimented was his skin. So I definitely think modeling is his calling. And there's something so powerful about finding your voice early on. Okay. And I admire that about you. And it's kind of one of the reasons I invited you to the show, is so that we can kind of crack open who and what Damian is. Okay. In this industry. So, did you always know you wanted to act professionally?
No, I will say I started dancing when I was 3 years old,
Mhm.
and then living in a small town and being one of the only Black boys in dance,
Mhm.
I got picked on a lot. So about the age of probably 9 or 10, my parents also put me in karate. And it was there that I met a girl with red hair and freckles. Her name was Morgan, and we kind of hit it off and we were really good friends. But I went to a play in second grade that she happened to be in. And I will never forget sitting in the audience and looking up at this stage and seeing this little girl dressed in these raggedy clothes, because it was Annie, the show that they were doing. And I was like, I want to be on the stage. I want to do what she's doing. I could do that. I know her. Why am I not on the stage? So I went home that night and I told my mom all about it. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get on the stage, but I am going to do it. And from that night, we did more research and looked into it. And I joined the Springer Theater Academy in the 5th grade. And pretty much the rest is history from there. Once I started the Springer Theater Academy, I never left the stage. And I've pretty much been on it ever since then.
So where's that academy located?
It's in Columbus, Georgia.
Is that where you're from?
I am from Buena Vista, Georgia. Small little town. We only got one stoplight. There's no Walmarts. There's no McDonald's, honey. None of that stuff exists down there. We have one middle school and high school. It's all in the same building. Yes, that's how small it is. So it was a big deal for me to find a place like the Springer Opera House. It's also the State Theater of Georgia. So that was pretty cool to be able to have the State Theater of Georgia be my playground, if you will, for so many years in the summers. And they taught me a lot about lifestyle, life skills through stage skills. That was their huge motto about making sure that students not only were able to perform on stage, but they were good citizens. They were well-read. They were well-rounded. And I'm really, really, really appreciative for all of the teachers and the faculty and the staff of that institution.
You know, that is such a powerful story. You were in a play, a very powerful play at that. And I still to this day actually speak about the role that you and also Kanisha Johnson played in that play. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we had the pleasure of doing Blues for an Alabama Sky at Actors Express last year in 2024. directed by Amanda Washington. It was a wonderful play. It's about four friends in New York who are based in Harlem during the Renaissance, who are basically trying to live their dreams and make their dreams come true. And I had the pleasure of playing the role of Guy Jacobs, who is a seamstress, and his big dream is going to Paris and dressing Josephine Baker. And the play kind of explores the relationship between men and women, kind of sexuality. It kind of explores women and their ownership of their bodies. And it's written by Pearl Clegg. And if you haven't had an opportunity to see it or read it, I definitely recommend checking it out. But yeah, it was so much fun. And we had such a bond as a cast during that show.
You were unforgettable in that role.
Thank
Not
you.
only did the actual show itself have a powerful meaning behind it, but I think that you, as well as Kanisha and the other cast members, brought substance to that role. And you did a really great job.
Thank you
Really
so
great
much.
job. Now, aside from that, Damian has been a part of many other projects. One in particular that caught the eyes of, I think, Southeast actors would be popular series by, is it Donald Glover or Danny Glover?
Donald Glover.
Donald Glover. I always confuse the two. In Atlanta.
Yeah.
And you played the role Curtis.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about Curtis.
Yeah. So, this was like right after I graduated college.
Oh, that was that
actually.
breakout role then.
Yes.
Ooh.
So I think it was 2015, 2016, somewhere around there.
Mhm.
I got an audition from my agent, and it basically was like, hey, here's an audition for Atlanta. And I said, okay. Literally that day I got the audition, we had a meeting at my job. I didn't care what was going on in the meeting. I made my friend like do my makeup and everything for the audition so I could prep and go and do it. I went into the audition knowing that it was for me and it was not for anybody else. And I didn't even think about like the possibility of not getting it.
Mhm.
So once I got the call that it was mine, I was like, oh, okay, well, when do I report to set for my
I know, that's
breakout
right.
starring role, honey? And it was the most magical experience I could have ever had in my life as my first thing to do on set, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I got to do a table read with Donald Glover,
Oh my goodness.
Brian Tyree Henry, Lakeith Stanfield, Cat Williams showed up at the end. We won't talk about that. But he was also there. I met so many amazing actors some of them are now super duper famous
Mhm. So
and
are
doing
you.
amazing stuff. So I am very, very, very thankful that I got to do that. But that was season 2, episode 1, and it takes place in a Mrs. Winters, an Atlanta staple. And it was just such a pleasure being able to do that role. And that was the first time I had ever held a AK-47 or saw one in person. And they just basically gave me the gun and they were like, here you go, honey. And I said, oh, okay, we're going to figure this out.
You did that though.
Thank you.
You did.
I had no other option. It was sink or swim.
But that's the part of being an actor. Last week, I taped with Shay Mack, and she talked about an up-and-coming show that she's on, and she's like, listen, I do not see myself as a just rough around the edges individual. And she was like, when she got into the scene that required her to be just that,
Yes.
she's like, immediately, she gave what she felt like that role needed. And then she said when she saw the playback, it was like, okay, it wasn't so bad. Like, I love the fact that you started off with that audition with the mindset.
Yes.
Which was, this is mine, and I'm coming here to rock this out.
Exactly.
And that's so helpful with, I think, anything, not just acting. If you have the mindset that this is yours, it's already yours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I do think that plays a big part in you booking that role, not just a talent, because you are a talented individual. I think that mindset, you went in and that showed up as confidence that this role is mine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I also think it was a part manifestation too. It was just literally like, I don't know. I didn't care what the breakdown was saying. I am who you
Who this
need
person
to see.
was.
Right. That's the way that I was thinking.
So
of
that's
it.
so interesting. So this big controversy about what the casting director wants, what the director wants, and what the actor is able to give.
Mhm.
And, you know, the controversy is never go with what you want to give. The casting director doesn't know what they want to give. try to determine what the actor is saying through the script. But what I'm hearing you say is, I gave what I felt like this character should be in the scene.
Yeah, you have to bring yourself to the role. So there's only one you, right?
Yeah.
And the only way to make your performance unique is by bringing pieces of yourself and give the people what you want to see. Now, yes, you have to do your homework and make sure you're in the tone of the show. You're making sure that you're not trying to overpower if you're the supporting in the scene versus the lead in the scene or whatnot, right? But you still want to make sure that you are bringing something that the director can then take and make a little bit more malleable or mold it a little bit, or something that the casting director can get excited about that they haven't seen before, that they want to pass on to the producer and so forth. But that stuff doesn't happen if you are so worried about, well, what is it that they want? They don't really know. They're hoping that you show them that this is what they need today, right? There's so many breakdowns that go out that say any ethnicity. Right there, it shows you it doesn't matter. They just want to see.
Sometimes they don't even know if they want a male or female.
Right. They just want the person who is able to tell the story the way that it needs to be told. That's all they want.
And then something that Shay Mack mentioned in her episode was that she tapes as well. She says that, you know how many times people walk in and just read the script the same exact way, as if they feel that the words is telling them to bring this to the character. And I just don't feel like that is what acting is. That is not what casting directors are looking for. And I feel that separates the ones that book and the ones that don't. Is what are you bringing to the character, not what the words are telling you to give to the character.
Exactly. What are the nuances that you can see that other people are not able to see in between the words, right?
What lifestyle experiences that you can bring to the storyline.
How do you feel about this person that you're in this scene with? Is this the last time that you said this? Is this the first time that you... There's so many other questions that you can answer. And that's how you get from being a day player into getting more lines and stuff like that, right? It's because you give something.
Give a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I like to look at it in audition as if you were giving me a new book to read, and I have not read the summary of what this book is about. I just know that this is a book that I need to get familiar with. So that's me reading the entire script. By the time I come to a character that I resonate with, what is most likely what I'm auditioning for, I then, oh wow, can you imagine the life that this person has had before the words on the paper had began to give them some type of light or spotlight? And that's how I take on auditions. It's like, okay, this is the story. I understand the story. Now, what part do I play in the story? You know, and you said something earlier about just not overpowering the role. And that's very important because you could very well give too much.
Absolutely. You can get a scene, it's a love scene, right? Where you are coming in and you were just supposed to flirt with the person and go on about your business. But there are people who will see that scene and they will take it and they will try and make a big meal out of it. And sometimes that's not what the script is asking for. It's literally just asking for a quick little look that everybody and the camera can see really quickly that is very flirtatious, and you go on about your business. But I think so many actors are so, I hate to say desperate, but they're so hungry, we'll say that, to book that they are like, I'm willing to go balls to the wall, do whatever I can do, like shuck and jive almost. And it's like, baby, you ain't got to do that.
No.
Sometimes less is more.
Yes. And then, honestly, if you have to do all of that just to book the role, you're doing too much.
You're doing too much.
I think you're in your head, and automatically, if you are in your head, you are not where this character is requiring you to be.
Absolutely. I also think that part of me being able to step back and really analyze is my experience as a director too, because being on both sides of the table, you can recognize, okay, this actor is literally in their head right now, or this actor clearly is showing me something. Or I remember being in a rehearsal room or audition process for a show, and there were like 3 actors who came in and did the exact same scene back to back, and every last one of them were different, but they were all the same because none of them gave me them. They were trying to perform what they thought the role was, as opposed to
what they can bring.
Yes,
What-
embodying the character and bringing who you are to
Mhm.
it. Does that make sense?
It
If you're
makes a lot of
playing a
sense.
reporter, your reporter is not going to be the same as my reporter,
Mhm.
right? Because we have
Mhm.
different life experiences.
Yeah.
So those things are important
Yeah.
to really investigate.
From your directing point of view, can you tell me or give me an example of what the one that brings themselves looks like in the room?
Confident. So the person who in the room, I know, oh, they have brought themselves. They come in, they acknowledge the people in the room,
Mm-hmm.
and they give the performance that they practice with, how do I say this? Because it's so hard to be able to like, you need to practice, right? But you don't need to be so contrived that the elements of the day can't influence what's happening in your performance. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you are in an audition space and your feet really hurt, use that shit.
Yeah.
Today, this character's feet hurt.
Yeah.
How can you use that, right?
Yeah.
If you're in a, I'm trying to think of a very specific moment where I was like, that is exactly, okay. So I work with students. I just directed Barbecue, Kennesaw State University last year. And they do a general open call for their students to come in, and then we do callbacks and dwindle it down.
Mhm.
And in the callbacks, I had, I want to say about 40 students or something like that. I did that many because I wanted to give everybody an opportunity to show
Right.
me what they got. Only half of those students were actually able to bring themselves to the roles. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, they weren't thinking I'm trying to think of a to be or not to be. Let's say that's our line, right? They're not thinking, oh, to be or not to be. How many ways can I say it?
Mhm.
They're thinking to be or not to be. What does it mean to me to be or not to be? Not how does the director need to hear it? Not how can I sing it? Not what if I say it this way? What if I say it this way? They're trying to say, how can I embody this line and actually say it? That's what people are missing. I oftentimes will redirect actors. Many directors don't do that in the room, especially once you get past a certain stage. But I often do because sometimes the nerves of just coming in and doing the audition is a lot, and giving them a redirect gives them the opportunity to get in their body
That's
and
very
out
generous
of their
of you.
head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think so many actors need to work on getting out of here and getting in here. And that's how you find that real gushy, juicy stuff of like you.
It's so funny that you say that because I was going to touch on social anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like a lot of actors have social anxiety. And
We do.
Yeah.
I think it comes with the job.
Yeah. I actually think the reason half of us got into performing is because maybe we were trying to cure something.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I would believe that too, yeah.
I remember taking my first public speaking class in college, and I took it because I was afraid to speak in front of a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And when I realized that I was able to get the knowledge on what it takes to be a great public speaker, I then grew a huge taste for having conversations in group settings versus one-on-one. So I really thrive with something that in the beginning I felt was a setback.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I use a lot of that in the room.
Well, I will say, yes, I think I agree 100% that we are entering into this space so that we can deal with our own insecurities and try to get more confident in a sense. And I also think that might be why we want to play so many different roles.
This is
so
true.
that we can explore those different sides of ourselves.
This is true. Or also, we can look at it this way, is that we grew such a love for storytelling. It's now, oh my gosh, I was able to play the villain. Now, I want to go into the protagonist role, or the antagonist role has worked so well for me. Now I want to play a different type of villain.
Yeah.
Like I get so excited to perform in different characters that it's like I totally forget the role that I played before, because to me it's like, okay, I did play the antagonist in this role. Now I'm the love interest. Like it's just I get excited for the different types of characters that I can bring to life as an actor.
Yeah. I feel that 100%.
Yeah. So I really like that approach that you have in terms of auditioning and bringing words to life. And I think it can be very useful for any beginning actor that is having trouble associating the words with their actions.
Yeah.
And I think it brings me to say that cliche saying, just drop the script.
Drop the script, babe.
Drop the script.
What are you saying?
Yeah.
That's all I need. Like, what is the emotion? What is the story? What are you trying to say? Sometimes, let the words go and just say what the scene is talking about, and that will help you out a lot about being able to embody it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You talked about just being that fashion designer that admired Josephine Baker and getting to dress her. Obviously, you are not a fashion designer in real life. Can you tell me how you came to bring that character to life? Everything you did to prep for that moment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Another situation where I was like, "This is mine,"
And it was.
I said, "This is mine." I actually hadn't read blues in college. I didn't read it until somebody was like, "There is a role for you in blues," and I was like, "Okay, what's the role?" And they were like, "It's this role. It's Guy Jacobs. You need to read the play." So I read the play, and then I was like, "Oh, baby, it is mine." And I started doing research on Josephine. I created it's not a Pinterest board, but on iPad, you can like press your finger and it'll cut out the image and then you can make
Kind
a
of like a mood
collage.
board. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like made a mood board collage of
Yeah.
like all of Josephine Baker's outfits that I really loved. And then I started listening to all of like the music that she was having because Guy would have been obsessed with all of her songs. So I went on Spotify and I would listen to any remastered song that I could find. I picked my favorite ones and I started listening to them like in my daily playlist mix to try to like get into that world. I did lots more research on like Langston Hughes and County Cullen and some of the other queer Harlem Renaissance icons that we have. And then when it was time for the audition, I'm a type of person who does like to dress for the audition, if that makes sense. They tell people not to dress it like don't put on a costume. I didn't put on a
Did you
costume.
show up in a double-breasted suit?
No, I didn't show up in a double-breasted suit, but I did show up in nice high-waisted pants, a nice button-up shirt, and I maybe had a tie on or something, but I looked like I was very well kept. I tried to embody someone who would have been of the 1920s or of the Harlem Renaissance, and they would have dressed nicely, right? They wouldn't come in jeans or something like that. So I wanted to show the director coming in, yo, I know the script. I know the character. This is what you want to see. This is how I would embody it. And I also rehearsed that scene, I want to say, for a good week before the audition. So that way I was off book 100% and I was just in it. You know what I mean? As opposed to sometimes you get auditions and you don't have the opportunity to really rehearse like that. But I had that chance. So I really prepped. And then once I booked it, I was like, all right, now all of the stuff that I've done is great. Created a playlist for Guy. Wow, that included the stuff for Josephine. Had like created like a rehearsal wardrobe. I know this sounds crazy, but this is the stuff that I needed to do to like make sure that I was
work. It's the work that needs to happen in order to perform these roles.
It does. Like it's amazing to me how much homework it takes to truly give that type of performance and a performance where you can really embody a character and almost let loose and there's like a divine consciousness that comes over and like and it ends up happening, right? That's kind of what it feels like. I did so much work, so much prep beforehand that once it came time to be on the stage,
you were ready.
I was ready. And he just came and did what he needed to do.
That was a large body of work, Damian.
Yeah.
And it's very intimidating to anyone that has not really been in theater in such a huge role. One of the things that I admired was that I saw you twice. So I saw the show back to back. It was like, how did he attack this role? Because that had to have been at least about a week's worth of studying. maybe a month, depending on how often you memorize such large, work.
The memorization, mm,
Mhm.
we rehearsed 2.5 weeks.
Mhm.
I think with a week and a half tech.
Mhm.
Like, yeah. Yeah. It's somewhere around
Mhm.
there. Like it's like 3 weeks and then we actually opened.
Mhm.
I had to memorize lines every single day.
Mm.
It became a disciplined thing where every day I walk my dog 3 times a day.
Mhm.
So I would take 2 of those walks and literally no phone, nothing. It's
Mhm.
30-minute walks, and I would just say the lines scene by scene, and we will walk. I have my script, walk the
Uh-huh.
dog, and keep going. And that way, it's not me just sitting around and trying to memorize
Mhm.
the lines, right? It's literally I'm walking and putting the words in my body,
Right.
so that way it's almost second nature when it
Right.
comes off.
Right.
But also in rehearsal, because there's a lot of drinking that happens in blues, right? Where we have these cups everywhere. I'm doing all this choreography with moving the cups and
Yeah.
cleaning the cups and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
That came with just practicing in the rehearsal space of like,
Mm.
okay, now I've got the lines. How do I make this line move with this and make this make sense when I'm moving this? And how
Mhm.
do I get this clean? Because this has to be clean for the next scene. It's a lot of thinking on your toes,
Mm.
thinking ahead. But the only way that I was able to do that was because I did all of that homework on the front end of it.
Mhm.
I really prepped really hard so that way I could just be in the role
Right.
and just show y'all the show.
Yeah, that was ooh.
It was hard. Like
Yeah.
I oftentimes I people say, "Thank you, you did a great job," and all that stuff. I'm like, "Thank you so much," but it was not easy.
I can tell. That was an intimidating piece. It reminded me of the very first play that I took part in for colored girls.
Oh yeah,
Oh my goodness. I played Lady Blue, and
Ooh,
it is just such a heavy body of work,
yes,
and it was so intimidating, and it almost broke me
I know.
because I felt like if I'm not able to get off script for this, I'm not made to be an actor. But that's not how I should have been thinking. That was
Mm-mm.
just my nerves. However, I think once you're in it, and one of the things that I admired about Damien's performance was he was in it. The role was him. I wasn't able to disassociate reality from he's just an actor. I saw that. I saw that in your actions. I saw that in your words. I saw that in your passion. And I think that is just miraculous to see in action. Now, Damien, you are a triple threat. You act, you direct, you model. And to me, it's like, oh my goodness, like having to do all of that in your head and then also just embody the role. It's like, how do you get to that point? I know you trained, but how do you get to that point? Are there any steps or tips that you can give to listeners that may not have even had their first school play as yet?
Oh, oh my goodness, that's such a good question.
Mm.
If there's anything that I could give to anyone who has never done this before, I would just say face your fear
Mm.
because it's all scary. I was scared every step of the way.
Mhm.
I was scared. Is this gonna be stupid when I pick out this outfit? Are they gonna think this is okay? Is this gonna sound crazy coming out of my mouth? Is this gonna look okay? Is me moving this like every step of the way you second guess yourself? And that's normal. That's human. But I think where you can separate yourself from other people is just having that confidence,
Mm.
letting that fear accept it, acknowledge it, and fight past it, and then keep going
Mhm.
and never stop. And never let someone's no be the end answer for you.
Mhm.
I even have a story about that. Recently, I had an audition that I didn't get, but I was very determined to be in the room for this audition.
Mhm.
So I did the due diligence of figuring out who to reach out to so I can get the audition, sent my audition directly to them.
Okay.
And I'm in the pile. But I don't know if I will know what'll happen of that. But go for what you want.
Right.
My mama always said, a closed mouth does not get fed. And you cannot sit out here
Waiting.
hoping that someone somewhere is going to save you or give you a chance. No one's going to do that.
Yeah.
You have to get and fight what you want.
Yeah.
And you have to do it with kindness.
Yeah.
Do it with grace. Do it with humility. And be humble about it.
Yeah.
Because you are not the only person in the world who wants this thing.
Yeah.
And if you get the thing that you want, how can you then help other people get the thing that they want? Because that's also something that I'm very, very adamant about. I'm so blessed in so many ways, and I really want to help as many people I can, bless as many other people as I can, which is why when I do direct, I pull back from the people that I've worked with, from students that I've worked with before, from people that have told me, oh, you should work with this person, you should work with this person. I like to take on new people and help them achieve their dreams and give them advice and stuff like that too. So be a mentor to someone else and never let your light dim.
I think that is definitely a mantra worth repeating and playing back to back to back because it's going to be something that you have to embed in your head every time you approach an audition.
Yes. Because it's hard. It's hard out here in these streets, y'all.
It's very hard.
It is not easy. The rejection is something that can take. I had a moment this week where I was like, do I still want to do this? You'll go through those moments. Yes, I did. But you'll go through those. And it's normal, right? Because
how do you get yourself out of that?
You get your circle. You have a circle of friends. You have a circle of community of people that you can trust, that you can springboard thoughts and conversations about with them. You set goals that are not just acting or directing or whatever. You set goals that are outside of that, whether it's fitness goals, whether it's health goals, whether it's, I want to read X amount of books this week. I want to start a new help thing. I want to create whatever it is.
Right.
Start something else other than, woe is me. I'm not getting the auditions that I want to get. The auditions are going to come.
Yeah.
The industry is not going nowhere.
It is not.
People want to be entertained.
Yeah.
It's a human thing. Entertainment has been around forever.
And it's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. So find something else that you also love and enjoy to do and do it. And do it well.
You can bring that to acting too.
And bring it to acting. If it's horseback riding, girl, you guess what? They be looking for people that can horseback ride all the time.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, do it.
Yeah.
Tennis, pickleball, do it. Find a hobby.
Watching the news. I'm telling you, I learned diction there was this station from the Bahamas, and it's called A10 AM. My God, this station sounds so prehistoric, but I loved the news reports that I heard on that station.
Yes.
So at a very young age, I remember just being at my grandmother's house during the summers, chilling with her, and the radio station would be on. And I would start to repeat back the same diction that they would have as they reported on that show. It was a very dry show. Trust me, it is.
Right.
It's worth putting you to sleep, and that helps me now as a performer.
Exactly.
I realized that they had great breath work. They took their time as they spoke, so that they are, they're audible. You can understand every word that they're saying. They had passion in certain areas, which came off as if it had a rhythm in the way that they spoke. And lo and behold, that has helped me in auditions where I had to pretend to be a host or a reporter.
Yeah.
And I did not know that this was a thing. This was actually a thing. Enjoying listening to people report the news and coming and taking this and turning it into a craft.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't realize sometimes when you just enjoy doing something like listening to music or watching ballet or whatever, that you are developing a skill in yourself.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that you found that.
I can't listen to that station today because it still sounds really prehistoric. And if there are any Bohemians listening, I am so sorry, but A10 AM was it was like, no kid should be listening to this.
So it was very conservative.
Yes, it was. It was. I do remember, listening to it. We have hurricanes, and in the Bahamas during the hurricane season. It was the only station that could be caught in the middle of a Category 4.
Why? Because they had the best like signal or something?
Maybe it had the best signal. Maybe it was just so old. And
they said our stuff is under the ground. And we don't know nothing about that old new technology, baby girl.
I don't know, but I did love listening to it. It's because I just felt like it got straight to what needed to be heard. No fluff.
I love that. Yes.
So, Damian, are you married now? I know you were engaged when we first met.
No, I love that you think I'm engaged. So that was
I just wanted that for you.
No, so I have had a partner, or we've been together going on 13 years this year. But no, those were just couples photos. We did a photo shoot for a friend. She was looking for a couple to do some engagement-like photos. So then when we post them, everybody was like, oh, he's engaged. I was like,
I wanted that for you, and I still do. And it will happen. Hint, hint. Because I know he's going to listen to support his bae. We need to see that happening. Thank you.
we good over here.
However, I do love the love that you both give to each other. And it is seen in so many ways, and especially in the support that he gives you.
Yes.
And with that being said, you are an anomaly as it pertains to being a queer Black man in this industry. Have you ever faced any opposition being just that?
Oh, yes. But you don't let it get you down. Especially when I was younger, it was all the like F-bombs and all the different slurs that they would say, all that kind of stuff. It just honestly gave me tougher skin. It honestly gave me the ability to be able to go on stage and say somebody else's crazy, ridiculous words, because like I've had people say crazy, ridiculous words to me, my face. What is it for me getting on the stage? That means nothing. Like I've been through the worst, you know?
Yeah.
In terms of, has it affected my career? No. We live in 2025 where I think now almost being queer is a trend. It's almost like cool to be queer.
But there's still a lot of work to be done.
There's so much work to be done. There's still a lot of things that this administration that we have right now that are affecting the queer community, but we ain't going nowhere. So it's more of a what is the word I'm looking for? It is a rite of passage. That sucks. But it kind of is a rite of passage as a queer person. You go through the negativity to come out on the other side, to see that everything, it does get better, and you get to create the life that you want to live, which is why I feel so blessed to have my partner and to have been together for so long, because I know that there are so many other queer people, and especially queer Black men, who have a hard time finding love and actually finding support. Like that man loves me. That man made sure that I was fed every single day that I had blue. Every single, I mean, I had a full-time job, but I also was in a show. I also was still auditioning. I also was still like prepping and directing the show. I had a lot of stuff on my plate. He made sure I was fed every single day. He made sure that I had sleep. He made sure that I did all the things that I needed to do. And I am so thankful for that. And he's just been so supportive for so long. And he believes in me, and he believes in my dreams. And I'm very, very, very blessed. But I love that man to death.
That you are. I'm very happy that you have not let any of that opposition deter you from the greatness that is still continuing to come in your life.
Thank you.
And I do know that you are well supported, honey. And I love that for you. I want to know if there is something that you can tell some young boy that is struggling with the idea to pursue a creative path or traditional route, simply because they are afraid to face opposition.
Starting a creative path is not for the weak. It is something where you have to work every single day.
Yeah.
You are your own boss. You are your own business. You have to think in those terms constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And in a traditional setting, you can still lose your job.
This is true.
In a traditional setting, the industry, whatever it is that you're working in, can still go under, unless it's something like morticians or something, or like healthcare. Even healthcare right now, they have AI bots that are coming out and doing a lot of these things.
Taking everybody's job.
Like, come on.
Do you remember when they said that actors and voiceover artists will not be in existence once AI comes
Sure
out?
did. And I'm like, babe, all of us are going to be in trouble if that's the case.
Yeah,
we will all be in trouble if that's the case. So I think whatever direction you go in, young sir, is going to be the direction that is for you.
Yeah.
But I want you to make sure that you're doing what you're living your life for you and not for someone else. That's the most important thing. Because oftentimes we go into these quote unquote traditional fields because we're trying to please and appeal to our parents or please and appeal to our family or friends or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
Can I cuss?
If you want to.
Fuck that shit. This is your life. You are the only person who gets to live it.
Yeah.
And you are the only person who gets to dictate what you want and what you don't want. And I truly think that we have to love our inner child and give them the things that they need. And your inner child is telling you all the time what they want.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to listen. And maybe that is a traditional path for you.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's something a little bit more creative. And
or
both. Because I was about to say, sometimes in traditional settings, you can have a very creative role.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Be flexible. That's one thing.
Yeah.
What do they say? If you want to make God laugh, have a plan. Be flexible.
One of the things that stood out to me that you said that I also resonate with is community.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that community is important. And in my community, I have my mother, I have my dad, I have my sister.
Yes.
And I could be bottling up shit and selling that as crystal gold, and they will support me in that. So what's different about you selling shit that someone else that hasn't done?
Yours got glitter, don't it?
A little twinkle of roses.
Yeah, we know. They come with a little side gift.
But then there's also, it also comes off as, all right, that doesn't make any sense. And, I've seen you done way better. Try again. And to me, that is what my community looks like and consists of.
Oh, yeah.
What does your community look like? Because I know you got a strong one.
I definitely have a strong community.
Yeah.
So it is definitely my partner, my mother, and a lot of friends and colleagues. So I like to surround myself with people who oftentimes think differently than I do, and also who have different roles and goals than I do. So I have playwright friends. I've got director friends. I've got musical theater friends. I've got actor friends. I have friends who are real estate agents. I've got friends who are therapists. But I have all of these people who, regardless of what issue that I'm facing or what issue they're facing, we can support each other in that thing, right?
Yeah.
So if I have let's say an issue where I'm feeling insecure about something, I've got my 3 friends that I can call that will give me either that push, like, why are you letting yourself go through this mental state right now? You know that you have the ability to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Go do it. Or the friends that are like, you need me to come over right now? I'll be there in 5 minutes. Like, you need that.
Yeah.
Because we can't no one is getting to success by themselves.
I agree.
Not a single person, no billionaire, no millionaire, no one is making it by themselves. Everyone has had to have some type of support, whether it's from a mentor, whether it's from a friend, family member, something. And I think that we have to acknowledge the necessity of that and then do the work to curate your group.
Yeah. And it's so great that you have such a diverse diaspora of people in your community. And that's so important because that also helps when you show up as an actor.
Yes.
For example, my sister's a therapist. She is the least bit interested in being on camera.
Mhm.
She's the least bit interested of even posting with her in front of the camera. And a lot of times I would speak to her about how I need to connect with a role. Now, where she and her advice comes in, how would you feel in this situation if this were you? She helps me break
Oh,
down,
that's good.
yeah, from a therapist perspective,
Yeah.
how this individual would feel emotionally.
Mhm.
And I feel like just having a diverse community of supportive individuals helps you connect to some of these roles.
It does, yeah.
You can get in front of the camera. I had an audition, I think it was Sisters, to play a therapist. I don't know how to be a therapist. I don't know how a therapist's posture is. I don't know how a therapist approaches certain sensitive situations.
Yeah.
Are they to remain calm? Are they to be emotional as
Mhm.
well? All of these things, this is not my area of expertise. And the first thing that I do is associate this character with either someone that is in my community circle or just someone that I've seen on TV play the role before.
Mhm.
And most times actors, they go to a previous character that they've seen, but I think coaches tell you not to.
Yes, because you don't wanna recreate something that already
That's already
exists,
been
right?
done.
But, like,
Yeah.
I love what you're saying about going to somebody in the friend group who
Mhm.
seems like they might embody what that character is doing,
Uh-huh.
right? Because that gives you the opportunity to truly see a real human being,
Exactly.
and see the new, "Oh, she tilts her head this way when I
Yeah.
ask that question," stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Stuff that you're not gonna be able to actually see from an actor
Yeah.
portraying
Yeah.
a therapist.
Yeah. And it's authentic too.
Yes.
And one of the things that I always strive to be is authentic.
Mhm.
I do not want to be someone that is on television performing a role. And for example, I'm a therapist and I'm leaning in too close, only to find out later from a therapist that is so insensitive.
Right.
Whoever leans in and tries to, and I always tend to do my research, but I start at home first. Who do I know?
Who do I
Who
know?
is in this role in my personal life? And it's great that we have someone in our community to actually reference, but a lot of times, as I was getting to about community, we don't control who is in our community.
No, yeah.
So it's important for us to get to know our community.
Mhm.
And then when we do get a role that's similar, we can reference that individual.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I really love the fact that you have a supportive community. It is very important. And I always encourage actors to lean on individuals that are in your community. They don't have to be an actor. You
They
don't
don't.
only have to hang out with actors.
No, and I encourage you not
Yeah.
to.
Why is that? Why is that?
Well, sometimes it can feel a little egotistical when
Mhm.
you're in certain groups with certain actors. Sometimes they're gonna hate me for saying this, but I don't care, whatever it is. I don't always wanna talk about the acting. I don't always wanna talk about the last project I worked on or the next project I'm about to work on. Like, who wants to go around talking about work all the time, right? Sometimes you just wanna talk about life. Sometimes you just wanna talk about that movie that just came out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just wanna go see
Yeah.
a painting or something, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Tap
so
out for a minute.
Tap out for a minute.
Yeah.
So I get more than just acting friends if you can help it, child.
Yeah.
Because actor friends are great because they can keep you accountable,
Mm.
making sure that you're hitting your goals, making sure that you're staying on your P's and Q's. Hey,
Mhm.
did you check your actor's access? Let me look at this. Let me look at that. Like,
Mhm.
they can give you advice and all that kind of stuff. But you need friends that don't do this.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. And sometimes that can be a bit tricky. And because I'm speaking from the perspective of someone that does not have any creative friends at all and that are only among non-creative individuals, that can also be hard too.
It can be. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
If you don't have any creative friends, the opposite. You need to go out and
Yeah.
find more of them, right? Because
Yeah.
how can you be creative if you're not surrounding yourself with creativity?
Yeah.
It's like I told one of my former students, she had just graduated,
Mhm.
and she was like, "How many shows do you see a week?" And I said, I try to see at least one show a
Mhm.
week. And she was like, "What?" And I said, "Honey, we are literally out here making theater. That is what we want to do. We want
Yeah.
to make theater. how are we going to make theater if we're not seeing the theater that is being made?
Yeah.
We have to do the due diligence and do our homework to make the theater,
Yeah.
to see the theater, to be a part of the community, to
Yeah.
support, right? We want them to support us.
Yeah.
How are they going to do that if we're not supporting them?
Yeah.
And I think it kind of opened her eyes to be like, oh,
Yeah.
it's not just about me getting on the stage.
Mm.
No, Shugs. It is not just about you getting on the stage.
Mhm.
It's about the relationships that you have.
Mhm.
It's about knowing what the industry in the city is doing that you're doing.
Yes.
It's about knowing what it's about if you're going back to theater, if you're going to do TV and film. It's about all of those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
It's about the community that you're building. We keep going back to that word, right? But
Yeah.
that's what it's about. And you can't focus your career on just the booking.
Yeah.
Because
no.
if you do that, I promise you,
It's
you
gonna
are
be
going to
hard.
be depressed.
Yeah, it's gonna
And
be
it's
hard.
not going to be fun.
Yeah.
And the whole reason why we got into this was because it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Brayley Evans, when I did Stalk Within with her, she kept saying this. She kept saying, Tisha Arnold said, I don't want to work for my money. I want to have fun for my money. And I was like, what? She said, Tashina said. Tashina, not Tisha. That's one of the things. Let me redo this.
Take one.
So when I was on Stalked Within, Brayley Evans used to say this all the time, and it was so funny. She said, Tashina Arnold always said, I don't want to work for my money. I want to have fun for my money. And I took that motto, and honey, I have been thinking about that all the time. I don't want to work for my money. I want to have fun for my money. And I think everybody wants to do that, whether you're a doctor or a lawyer or whatever it is. You got into being a doctor because you thought that shit was fun.
Yeah. And it's hard.
And it's hard
You
as hell.
realize that as soon as those finals came around.
Right. But you like it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You wanted to be a lawyer because you wanted that money, but also you like arguing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Showing up.
You like that.
Showing up.
Yeah. So find the thing that you really, really like to do and do it.
Because it's going to get hard, and that passion is going to be what carries you through that.
Yes.
Yeah. I actually don't look at acting as how much I can book.
Good.
I don't, let me see. I don't mark success in this industry by that. Because if I did, last year I only booked once.
No booking. I mean, TV and film wise, no booking. I was like crickets.
Yeah.
But that's the industry. Like sometimes you're up, sometimes you're not.
Yeah.
Sometimes the audition, and also we went through a strike, and then we had to recover from that strike.
Yeah.
And then Georgia now has like fewer things that are filming now and stuff like that. And California has fewer things that are filming. So many things can happen, which is why you can't let that be the focus.
Yeah, on that. And then also you touched on something about just don't let stop you. I am a strong believer. As a matter of fact, this podcast is a living testament of just not letting someone else's no stop you. Now, I haven't been told about about hosting. However, I do not have any hosting projects that are on the network level just yet. Not yet. However, I'm creating what I consider that pre-moment.
Yeah. Yes.
Pre-moment.
Yes. This is your Issa Rae moment.
Yes. Where I am preparing for what I do believe will come.
Exactly.
And I am setting the space to prepare for that.
Yes.
And I think a lot of actors have to realize that your yes may be coming from you.
Ooh. Say that again.
Your yes may be coming from you.
Amen.
So while you are sitting at home waiting for a yes from Phil Stephen Paris, from George Pierre, from Raven Drummer, from Kim Coleman, God may be saying that your yes is already within you.
Exactly.
You just need to actually go ahead, write the vision, and start to make it clear. And I know you may say, how do I know the difference? The difference is how bad do you want it?
That passion.
Do you want it enough to just sit at home and wait for it and hope someone is going to give you the opportunity? Or do you want it so bad that you can't sleep in without working on your career,
Yes.
even if you're not being paid for it?
Yes.
I think that is the answer. And a lot of people, like Issa Rae, have taken, I feel, opportunities within their own hands and given it to themselves. And not all of us are going to make it because we booked a role that was being casted.
Yes.
Some of us are going to be the ones that open up our journals and bring a project to life. That's how we are going to be given that gift. So I do advise any creative to always think, is my opportunity supposed to come from someone else? Or am I, going to be able to create my own opportunity? You'll never know. But I will suggest to continue working on whatever it is that you love, so that gift can make room for you.
Amen. Yeah.
Damian is teaching and giving back to others because he loves to do that. And that is what entertainment is. We give to others a satisfaction, a joy, a feeling of, I'm right there with you, even though that person is on the couch watching it. So we're constantly giving something. And as a result of that, Damian is receiving, I feel, that blessing back twofold. It's being given back to him because he's giving it to others. So never be afraid to give another person an opportunity. Never be afraid to create an opportunity for someone else while creating one for yourself, because you never know where that can take you. You never know. So I really did enjoy talking to you about some of the projects that you've worked on in the past, Damian. What's coming up for you that you can discuss?
Oh, thank you. So we just launched our campaign for Yanni Stone and Honey Pot Trap. It is a new pussy comedy written by Interior Leverett. She and I went to Kennesaw State University together, and she wanted to create a play that was about Black joy. It was stemmed from after COVID. And basically, it was her response to all of the work that was coming out that was so depressing and so heavy. And she just wanted to create a play that allowed for Black folks and Southern people to be able to see themselves on the stage, laugh, have fun, cry even, have a moment where they get to just connect and reminisce and have moments of nostalgia. It's a play about a young woman named Lena, and she is a young playwriting student, but also a virgin. She's writing a play about her sexual awakening or sexual experiences, but she ain't had none.
Oh, God.
You gotta come out and see the show. We are hoping to go up in July of 2025. We are raising $15,000. So visit my Instagram. The link in the bio is your access to donate to our campaign. The donation does come with a couple things, so check out our Instagram for that. And I also will be directing a show at Stage Door in the fall. It's called The Cottage. It just came off Broadway. And I think I got a couple other things coming up, but I can't talk about right now. But yeah, those are the most exciting things that are happening. But I really, really, really would love everybody's support for Yanni Stone. It's a new play and a wonderful playwright and a great kick-ass cast. And I promise you, if y'all come and see the show, you will not be sorry. We've already had 3 readings. All 3 readings have sold out. All 3 readings were well received to the point where people, I think that the first one was 2 years ago, people are still talking about that first one. So yeah, come see the show.
I will definitely be there to support.
Thank you.
And my way of supporting is usually seeing the show multiple times. So I will be there, and I will be there with people, and I will also be running this back again to help promote once that time comes in July.
Yeah.
Where can listeners find you on social media to continue following some of the projects that you have coming up?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at definition_debonair, and TikTok, I think it's definition_debonair as well. And That's all the social medias that I'm on. I am 30 plus. Okay. I don't have too much room for anything else.
Tell me about it. Aside from IMDb, I don't.
Okay.
Listen, you can barely catch me posting consistently. The only thing that is consistently being posted is this podcast.
Period.
Damian, thank you so much for sharing your light with us today. Your talent, your heart, your purpose, it's magnetic.
Thank you, Kristen. It was such a pleasure.
It is needed. It is needed. Please don't ever let that go away, because that is something that I look forward to seeing bless so many other individuals as you are already doing at this moment. All right, folks, that's a wrap on this episode of Let's Just Talk. If you enjoyed this conversation, go ahead and subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a little inspiration today. Until next time, keep shining, keep showing up, and remember, the world needs your story.
You did so good.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.